The last thing I remember hearing before everything went silent was the frantic voice of a doctor shouting across the emergency room, telling someone to bring the defibrillator. The bright lights above me blurred together as people rushed around my body. I could hear machines beeping faster and faster, and then suddenly, they stopped. Someone said the words no one ever wants to hear. "We're losing him." In that moment, the room filled with urgency, footsteps, and panic. But strangely, everything around me began fading away, as if someone had turned down the volume of the world. What happened next is something that still shakes me to my core every time I think about it. Because according to the medical report, my heart had stopped beating for 23 minutes. 23 minutes where my body lay lifeless on a hospital bed. But during those 23 minutes, I was somewhere else entirely, and the message I received there is something I believe the world needs to hear. My name has been changed for this testimony, so for the sake of this story, you can call me David. Before that night, I was living what most people would call a normal life. I had a job, a family, responsibilities, and the usual worries that come with everyday living. I believed in God in a distant kind of way, the kind of belief that shows up on holidays or during difficult times, but rarely shapes how you actually live your life. I was busy chasing success, worrying about money, and trying to stay ahead in a world that always seems to demand more. Faith, eternity, and spiritual things were thoughts I pushed aside because they felt far away and abstract. I never imagined that one unexpected night would change everything I believed about life, death, and what lies beyond it. It happened suddenly. I had been feeling a strange pressure in my chest throughout the day, but dismissed it as stress or exhaustion. That evening, the pain grew stronger. It felt like a tight band wrapping around my chest and squeezing harder with every breath. My heart began racing, and a cold sweat covered my skin. I remember sitting down, trying to catch my breath, but the room started spinning violently. My vision blurred, and my ears filled with a loud ringing sound. The next thing I remember was collapsing to the floor as darkness closed in around me. This story is based on a real testimony, but identities have been protected using AI. What happened after that moment is difficult to explain because it didn't feel like I had died, it felt like I had awakened. When I opened my eyes, I realized I was standing in the same room where my body had collapsed, but something was very different. I could see people surrounding the floor where my body was lying motionless. My wife was crying while someone called for an ambulance. I could hear their voices clearly, yet none of them seemed aware that I was standing just a few feet away watching everything happen. I tried to speak, but no sound came out. That was the moment I realized something was terribly wrong. The room around me slowly began fading, like a picture dissolving into darkness. The voices disappeared, and a deep silence surrounded me. Suddenly, I felt myself moving, not walking, but being pulled gently through a vast space that felt like a tunnel. It was dark at first, but far ahead I could see a small point of light glowing softly in the distance. As I moved closer, the light grew brighter and warmer. The darkness around me began disappearing until everything was filled with this incredible radiance. It wasn't just light like sunlight or a lamp. It felt alive. It felt peaceful, powerful, and deeply comforting. When the tunnel ended, I found myself standing in a place unlike anything I had ever seen. The atmosphere was filled with a calm that words cannot describe. There was no pain, no fear, and no confusion. Instead, there was a profound sense of peace that seemed to flow through everything around me. In the distance, I saw figures that looked human, yet they seemed to radiate light from within. They stood quietly watching me, and somehow I felt they understood everything about me without a single word being spoken. Then I noticed one presence approaching me. The moment I became aware of it, I felt something so powerful that my knees nearly gave way. The light surrounding this presence was brighter than anything else, yet it didn't hurt my eyes. Instead, it filled me with warmth and a sense of being completely known. Before I could say anything, something extraordinary happened. scenes from my life began appearing around me, as if they were living memories playing out in front of my eyes. I saw moments from my childhood, my teenage years, my adulthood. Every decision, every action, every word I had spoken seemed to unfold before me. But this was not just a replay of memories. I could feel the impact of my actions on others. When I saw moments where I had hurt someone, I felt their pain. When I saw moments where I had shown kindness, I felt the warmth those actions created. It was overwhelming. I realized that nothing in my life had been insignificant. Every word, every choice, every moment had mattered more than I ever understood. I expected judgment, I expected anger or condemnation. Instead, I felt an overwhelming wave of love flowing from the presence before me. It was a love so pure and powerful that it brought me to tears. Then a voice spoke, not through the air, but directly into my mind and heart at the same time. The voice said, "Your life has meaning beyond what you have seen." In that moment, I felt both comforted and deeply convicted, because as the life review continued, I realized how many opportunities I had missed to show compassion, to help others, and to live with greater purpose. Then the presence showed me something that filled me with urgency. I saw the world as it is now, people rushing through life distracted, divided, and focused on things that ultimately fade away. I saw families broken by anger and pride. I saw people chasing success while ignoring the deeper purpose of their lives. Then the voice spoke again with words that I will never forget. Humanity is forgetting what truly matters. I felt a deep sorrow as I witnessed how easily people lose sight of love, forgiveness, and compassion in their daily struggles. The message continued, and it carried a warning that shook me to my core. Time is more precious than you understand. Every moment is a chance to choose love, truth, and mercy. Many are wasting the gift they have been given. I realized then that the warning was not about fear, but about awakening. Humanity has been given a short and fragile opportunity to live with purpose, yet many people spend their lives chasing temporary things while ignoring what truly lasts. The presence showed me that acts of kindness, forgiveness, humility, and compassion carry far greater weight than wealth or status. Then something happened that filled me with both peace and sadness. The presence told me that my time in that place was ending. I did not want to leave. The peace I felt there was beyond anything I had known on earth. But the voice spoke gently, saying, "You must return and tell what you have seen." Suddenly, the light began fading, and the peaceful world around me dissolved into darkness once again. I felt myself rushing backwards through the tunnel at incredible speed. Then pain struck my chest like an explosion. Air forced its way into my lungs as my body jerked violently. I opened my eyes to the sound of machines beeping and doctors shouting. I was back in the hospital room. Later, I learned that my heart had stopped for 23 minutes before the doctors were able to revive me. Many people called it a miracle, but for me, it felt like a responsibility because the message I received during those 23 minutes has stayed with me every day since then. Life is not just about surviving or chasing success. It's about how we treat others, how we forgive, how we love the people around us, and how we use the time we are given. Every moment carries meaning, even the small ones we often overlook. Now, I want to ask you something. If you knew your life would be reviewed one day, would you live differently starting today? Would you choose kindness more often? Would you forgive more quickly? Would you spend more time loving the people around you instead of worrying about things that will eventually fade away? If this story moved you or made you reflect on your own life, share your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe experiences like this reveal something about life beyond death? And if this message spoke to your heart, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who might need to hear it today, and subscribe for more powerful near-death experience testimonies. Because sometimes those who return from the edge of eternity come back with messages that the world desperately needs to hear.